I'm Nichole.
And I'm Giu.
And this is Nichole and Giu Live, our podcast where we talk about things we love, things we hate, and things we love to hate. And you know what I absolutely love? Horror movies. Pretty much of any variety. I love horror movies. I'm a spooky bitch. But sometimes Giu doesn't want to watch horror movies with me.
I'm so sorry. When I think of a horror movie, I think of like Saw, gore, monsters coming after you, serial killers, and that's like not really my thing. But we watched The Lighthouse, and this was more like surreal, abstract weirdness, which I love. I make the joke a lot that I've seen 3 movies, and as it turns out, the 3 movies I've seen are Phenomena, Suspiria, and The Lighthouse. And after watching this, I was like, do I like horror movies?
That's a vibe. That's a real vibe, and I'm really here for it, and I'm really love that you liked this movie.
I loved it, honestly.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was super strange. I honestly didn't know what to expect at all going into this movie. As our resident spooky bitch, listened to a lot of like weird tales and scary things from history, and so this movie is based on the Flannan Lighthouse disaster, which is, you're a spooky bitch like me, you might have heard of, and that's where 3 lighthouse keepers basically disappeared off an island that they were supposed to be manning, and it was very, very weird and the whole thing, and I had kind of an idea that this movie was based on that in some way, and I think it is. They make a lot of changes and they take a lot of liberties with the story. I really, really liked it. It's obviously a super fictionalized version. It's not that much like the actual legend.
No, but I did see in there was 2 lighthouse keepers in that legend that were named Thomas, and then they're both Thomas in this. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this movie. This movie has so much going on the entire time. We're gonna really do our best to go through it. But obviously whatever we're saying is just our interpretation of this movie. This movie I think can be interpreted in a lot of ways. And from just the light look at the internet that I took after we watched it, because I really didn't want to see anything about it beforehand, I think a lot of people have a lot of different takeaways from this movie. But it's Robert Pattinson. That's the reason that we decided to watch it. Is this our boy Edward back again?
He's back from the Twilight extended universe, so we had to watch this.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to watch it. I think that we actually picked 2 really good, powerfully acted movies to really contrast Twilight in our recent selection, because we did Spencer recently as well with Kristen Stewart, and I felt like that was such a powerfully acted and well done movie, and I kind of feel the same way about this. And then we also did the Twilight movie recently, and I'm I feel like it's just a good contrast of their abilities.
I agree. And after watching this, I thought, wow, so when he was going to play Batman and people were pissed, they really were still thinking about Twilight.
Yeah, was this was before Batman, wasn't it?
Yes, Batman came out in 2022. This one came out in 2019.
2019, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah, the range of this man, to be real, our boy Edward, our boy Cedric here, who would have known?
Cedric.
Yeah, Cedric Diggory. Remember that?
I do. Fully a reference I was not expecting to hear, but yes, I still remember my boy.
Oh my god, it will never not be known. This movie is like I said, gonna be a little bit hard to talk about, but it's really good the whole way through.
The first thing I noticed about this movie is that it was square and that it was in black and white.
Yeah, it's that was a choice. That was the first thing that Jack told me as well. He's like, "This is square. It's not shot in wide frame."
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. They wanted to give it like a old feel, I think, which was really interesting. I thought they did a really good job playing with the shadows throughout the movie with the black and white contrast. So this movie, if you haven't seen it, starts out with Ephraim Winslow, played by Robert Pattinson, and he's going to this lighthouse to be a lighthouse keeper alongside Thomas Wake, played by Willem Dafoe, and that's the setting.
Yeah, it's basically just the 2 of them the entire movie.
Winslow basically just gets all the shit jobs, like, he's cleaning, scrubbing, hauling stuff, chopping, just, like, all the crap that no one wants to do, that's his
Yeah,
job,
because he's the,
and
he was hired as the wiki. It's called a wiki. I was really confused by that. It's like the little assistant lighthouse keeper job. William Dafoe is the big man in charge. He's the keeper of the light, and he is the only one. He just like Giu said, is giving Winslow, like, all the really awful jobs to do and yelling at him very colorfully. I love William Dafoe in this movie.
oh my god, if you've ever had I'm gonna call them good old boy jobs, so, like, military, police, firefighter, if you've had one of those jobs, you've had this boss, I guarantee it, and that automatically makes you not want to side with this man and not identify with him. You're like, "Oh, yeah, it's like that guy."
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, he is kind of like a delightful type of character, but, like, no, he's obviously, like, the taskmaster, the bad guy. You're very much supposed to identify, I think, with Winslow over Wake.
Yeah, you've had this asshole boss, so when he's, like, yelling, you just wanna roll your eyes, and you're like, "Okay." Like, and I agree that the acting, he did a phenomenal job. It was very amusing to watch, but it just ignites that thing in you that you're like, "Alright, this guy's, like, full of shit."
This guy, yeah, fucking sucks. I just, like, it's the colorfulness of his language that makes me like
I think the look they gave Robert Pattinson really worked in this, though. He just looks really, like, manly, and he's got, like, the mustache, and he's smoking the cigarettes, and he's, like, sweaty and hauling stuff everywhere. I was like,
ooh.
"Okay."
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Well, Robert Pattinson, he does look good, I will say.
So, one of the first things that happen after we get this montage of them doing chores and stuff, is they have dinner together, and Ephraim doesn't wanna drink, but Wake, he's like, "You gotta do it," and he's like, "But it's in the manual," and he's like, "That's stupid, we're drinking."
Yeah, he's like, "It's bad luck to refuse a toast, you little whippersnapper, you." Ephraim Winslow, like, he gets up and he's like, "Okay, like, fine, I guess, whatever." He dumps out the liquor and he, like, fills his thing with water and he takes a drink and he, like, spits it out everywhere. Wake is like, "Yeah, boy, the cistern needs tending to. That's one of your duties. Like, didn't you read the list of duties?"
And didn't you read it in your manual? He was giving him shit.
Yeah, I cannot do the accent. Like, part of me so wants to do this in the accents. I literally cannot. Like, I tried.
It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to do the accent.
I
I
just
will not even be considering doing an accent personally.
I just want to. That's all. I want to do it.
So this already is kind of establishing the relationship we're gonna see throughout the movie because there's this, like, overbearingness of Wake, but then they also have these moments where they're kind of being friendly.
Like you said, it's like that one boss you have, or like if you've ever like, worked with a family member or whatever, it's like they're gonna like really give you a lot of shit, but like there's also gonna be like good moments. It's kind of like a fatherly relationship almost.
After that, Winslow goes up to his room and he ends up finding this little mermaid figurine in the mattress, and that's gonna come back around. I'm also pretty sure that he was, like, humping the bed at one point.
That was Wake, I think. Wake was humping the bed.
Yeah, that was strange. This was weird because there's a small shot where Wake's up in the light, and he's looking really crazy, and I was watching it with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend was like, "Does he wanna fuck the light?" And I was like, "I don't think so." And normally, I have really good fuck sense, but I didn't know. I didn't know what I was in for. I was like, "That's not real. That's not gonna happen.
Absolutely not what this is. And then it's like, that's kind of what this is. When does he start referring to the light as his wife?
Oh my god, I don't remember exactly when.
Yeah, but there's some weird stuff in this movie, guys. Buckle up.
There's more chores. He throws a rock at a seagull, which remember that, it's gonna be
The
important.
freaking seagulls, man.
I know. He's hauling oil to the top of the lighthouse.
And then hauling it back down. Like Wake is literally like, haul it all the way up the lighthouse. And he's like, yeah, you best be taking that back down before like the whole light blows up.
Yeah, and then he tells him, like, "Don't even go up there. Don't even think about it. Don't even consider
Don't
it."
even look at it. No, he has it locked the whole time. It's like, Winslow is supposed to be like the assistant lightkeeper. Wake is like, no, ye will not be looking or helping me with the light. That is my domain only. And he like this whole time also, like while he's been making Winslow do all these chores, he's been like writing incessantly in this freaking logbook, which he keeps locked in a bureau. And I think he's kind of indicating to Winslow throughout the whole thing that he's writing, like, positive stuff about him in the book, right?
I don't know if it's indicated. I think it just shows him writing. I didn't get any indication that it was positive just because he's such an asshole.
Yeah, well, that's true. There is a point later on where he, like, says specifically that he, like, has been writing good stuff about him in the book, and I think that's, like, right before they're supposed to get off the lighthouse, but it was just, like, a moment of dialogue. It wasn't, like
Wake is really big on these superstitions, so he had the thing about, like, you have to
he's a sailor.
finish the toast. He later tells Winslow never to harm the seagulls because they're believed to carry the souls of dead sailors, and so the seagull has been harassing Winslow at this point,
He has one eye. The seagull has one eye.
and then he starts getting all these weird visions where he's getting, like, dreams of the mermaid and, like, tentacles in the water, and he ends up asking Wake why the last lighthouse keeper left, and Thomas basically tells him in so many words that he died because he was enchanted by the light.
Yeah, it was, like, the thing he wanted. He wanted to go and, like, he got obsessed with the light. And does he say that he died?
He doesn't say it outright, but he heavily implies it. So Ephraim doesn't really take the warning about the seagulls seriously, and Wake just, like, whacks him. He's like, "You're stupid, listen to me."
he, like, scoffs at him when he says the thing about, like, it's bad luck to harm a seabird, and he, like, basically scoffs at him, and then Wake, like, freaks the fuck out and, like, bitch slaps him, basically.
And then the seagulls keep bothering him. The same seagull comes back, and you can tell it's the same because he's got one eye, and he's tapping on Ephraim's window, and he's starting to get pissed. And then he sees, like, a weird figure on top of the lighthouse. And then they start arguing about, like, swabbing the floor and, like, if it's being done correctly. Like I said, if you've had, like, a military firefighter job, you've done this. You've lived
I'm so
it's
sorry.
real.
I'm so sorry that, like, that is, like, a real thing. I've never had a job like that, to be honest. Like, I know that people like this exist, but yeah, because he's literally just like, "Oh, you'll swab the floor or something," and, like, Winslow's like, "I just did it," and he's like, "Well, you'll do it, and you'll do it again, and then you'll do it 10 more times, and you'll like it, and you'll do that because you'll like it because I say so."
I know he's crazy, but it just gets to that point where you're like, "Oh, this old guy's just, like, crazy, it's fine."
Oh, no, he's batshit.
Like, I think you get desensitized.
He's fucking batshit. Yeah, no, I'm like, geez. Well, that really is unfortunate. That, like, that is, like, so based on reality.
It's fine, like I said, you get desensitized, I think. So, even in real life, like, it's annoying, but then you're like, "Oh, this guy's just, like, a little bit nuts, and he's gotta stick up his ass, and
On
it's fine."
on a fucking power trip, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that is that just, like, a fucking power trip? And, like, that's very much, like, what's going on too is, like, Wake trying to assert dominance over Winslow.
Absolutely, and their arguing continues when Ephraim is cleaning the outside of the lighthouse and is on that rope pulley. And he's like, "I'm gonna fall," and Wake's like, "Shut up, you're fine."
And then he just falls. Like the pulley breaks, he falls immediately after that. And I'm just like, there is no way that you didn't get more hurt. Like, I'm like, how did you not break something? Something.
He was lower to the ground when he fell, like, as he was lowering, and then when he fell, it was still, like, looking like it hurt, but I can see how he didn't break anything, and then he wakes up to a seagull tugging at his pants, so the seagulls are really starting to harass him.
Yeah. The seagulls are very it's the same seagull, right? It's one eye.
Later, we get more backstory of how Wake used to have kids, be married, but his wife just got sick of him basically because he was never home.
You get a backstory.
And this is also when we get Ephraim's backstory about how he used to work in timber. And when he's asked why he quit, he gets kind of defensive and changes the subject. And then later, he dreams about tentacles and goop, and it's very disgusting.
There's an interpretation of this movie that, like, none of this is at all real and it's all going on in Ephraim's head. Cause this is where you're really starting to feel that, like, it's him. It's maybe Wake too. That's part of the movie. You can't really tell who's losing it per se. Like, everything is just lost. The movie's kind of framed through Ephraim's point of view, and you really come to understand quite quickly that he himself does not have a very firm grasp on reality.
No, definitely not. I think at this point, we're maybe almost halfway through. You're kind of telling that there's some craziness going on, but I think maybe you can't tell whose craziness it is or if it's just some supernatural craziness. Like, we don't really have a clear understanding of what's going on yet.
This point in the movie, I was definitely like, either something so supernatural is happening or this is all in Ephraim's head. And that wasn't exactly what, like I said, it's really hard to tell where exactly the crazy is coming from in this movie.
You have to be okay with ambiguity if you watch
It's
this.
very ambiguous, but that's what makes it good, I think.
I think so too. I'm just happy to be here for the ride. So I like the ambiguity.
Same, same. Neither of our partners liked this movie, though. I will say that.
Oh my god, no. My boyfriend had some very harsh criticisms of this movie, but maybe I'll save that to the end.
Yeah.
Going back to you mentioned that Winslow had drank the water and it was gross. He's going out and checking the I don't know what it is, but the
Cistern.
reservoir where the water is, the cistern, and there's a dead seagull in it. And then the one-eyed seagull comes back and is like harassing him again, and he grabs it, I think by the neck, and just starts like slamming it against the rock super violently. And that I also did not expect. That was the point where I was like, oh, this movie's actually gonna get kind of crazy.
Yeah. This is gonna go all the way off the rails. Yeah, that was kind of my indication as well, because that's like the first real moment of something like that happening. I mean, there's been weird trippy shit going on. We haven't really been super clear on some things. Ephraim has kind of been definitely losing it a little bit. I Nothing like that had happened. Like, he just fully beat that
No.
seagull to death, like, in his hand. Like, I was like, that was fucking wild.
Yeah, everything else weird that happened, it was like him dreaming or it was him getting yelled at. So it was still very like real world. Maybe he's just having like crazy visions for whatever reason. But he, to our knowledge, in this context, he actually just grabbed an animal by the neck and like violently beat it to death, like way after it was dead, just like hammering it against a rock. It was very surprising.
Yeah, and that's honestly kind of the first impulse you have of Ephraim being violent, which is gonna come back. So,
Buckle up.
ugh.
I think it's later that night, they get drunk together, they're talking about leaving the island, it's their last day there, and they're actually, like, getting comfortable with each other. They're kinda getting along.
Yeah, they seemed really happy. I was like, "Wow, this is a fun vibe. This is definitely like this shit's gonna get so bad now because this is was like a very fun, comfy vibe."
You just know, like, the second you feel comfortable, the impending dread setting.
Honestly, like, we were talking a lot about the score in the Spencer movie too, but like this is another movie where they use the audio to a really good effect. I think this is all before there's like this really off-putting noise that kind of happens. It's like a foghorn, I think, and it hasn't really started yet, but there's
No, it's been going on the whole movie. The whole movie, there's a foghorn. I
It
think
wasn't so noticeable in, like, the first half to me, though.
really? I felt the opposite, where, like, I felt the first thing I noticed was I was like, "Wow, that's a really loud foghorn," and then it just fades into the background as the movie goes on.
Yeah, I kind of like I didn't feel like I didn't really notice it until stuff really started kicking off, like, after this part that we're talking about, like, when everything started feeling really tense, I was like, every time it went off, I was like, "Ah!"
Wow, that's really interesting because I think these are both correct interpretations, but my interpretation was that you're supposed to feel kind of unsettled, and then that unsettled feeling becomes part of the atmosphere and you don't notice it anymore. But you were kind of like, oh, whatever, it's just like sea noises. And then as the tension ramps up, you're noticing this unsettling thing like looming over you.
This is so like I said, there's so many layers to this movie, and it can be interpreted in so many ways, and I actually saw an interview with, Roger Ebert, and he was saying that, like, he really wanted it to have a lot of, like, rewatch ability, and, like, I think that I could watch this, like, 15 times and, like, kind of pick out different things every time.
I already want to watch it again because even talking about it, I'm like, I need to watch this with context now.
Yeah, like, now that I kind of, like, am familiar, I'm like, I need to, like, watch it and paying more attention to what I know is going on. I think that just means that this is really well done. I think the horror community at large agrees with us.
I think so. I think the horror movie connoisseurs will understand. You know what else? You know what else? I'm gonna save my opinions about phenomena till the end because I'm not gonna derail us. But I have thoughts.
I need to know your thoughts. I actually haven't watched that, so
Oh my god. Okay, okay, I'm gonna calm down because that'll send me into a spiral all on its own. Now I'm gonna talk about how they were just celebrating because they were about to leave, but then this huge storm hits the island, and it turns out that they're stranded there.
Yeah, it's like the next morning they're both getting plastered, like, they are getting so drunk. I guess in the morning, like, they wake up and it's like, "Nope, not here, no boat." Like, and then they kinda realize, and then this is when it starts to get stressful, when I started noticing the foghorn, like, right around here.
Yeah. This is when the foghorn started to fade into the atmosphere for me. Ephraim continues to do his chores in spite of the storm, and he sees this mermaid when he's, like, hauling rocks on the edge of the beach, and it just starts screeching at the top of its lungs.
After he grabs the titties.
Oh, he does grab the
That's, like, the
titty.
first thing he does is grab the titties, and I'm like, "God,
Yeah.
well done, Ephraim, me too."
I forgot about that.
Although the fish lady is weird. I will say the fish lady is weird.
Yeah, the fish lady was strange.
Thing that my boyfriend noticed has not happened yet.
Okay, okay, well, let me know when we get there.
Yes, obviously.
As the storm goes on, they realize also that all their rations are ruined, and it's starting to set in for Winslow that they might be there for months.
Yeah.
And then they end up digging up, in 10,000 quotation marks, more rations, which is just alcohol, so they get plastered.
It's a huge box of liquor. I was really waiting for this. Like, I it was like, yeah, that sounds about right. It was like a secret stash that Wake had, like, on the island. He, like, sets Winslow to digging it up. I was like, "What is it? Is it gonna be food?" Like, nope, just a giant box of liquor.
Yep, and they just every night are getting drunk, and then they are in this cycle of they fight, and then they drink, and they sing, and they dance, and then they argue about food at one point.
Oh my god, I loved that.
Oh, and then I think this is before they go into the full-blown argument, but Ephraim's like, "If I had a steak, I would fuck it." That killed
That
me.
really did.
There is a couple moments that are actually genuinely really funny, and they're unexpected when they happen.
Yeah, so fucking funny, and also, like, the whole, like, this kind of, like, exchange about food, like, Ephraim's like, "How could I possibly like the horse shit that you make for dinner every night?" Like, talking to Wake, and Wake's like, "But you like me lobster." Like, just, like, so, like, he sounds like a little kid, like, I don't know, it was just really, really funny.
I loved that. The monologue he went on was
Oh
crazy.
my god,
Like, that was a good monologue.
oh, I wanna do that monologue. I would like to do, like, a dramatic reenactment of that monologue. I'm gonna be working on the accent, guys, like, I can't do it at all, but I'm gonna work on
Please,
it. I really wanna talk like a
please.
salty dog sailor now.
You have to start practicing. I support you in this endeavor.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna do it, and then, I think, my new dream is to be like a scary scare actor somewhere and do, like, some kind of rendition of this, like, it was intense, like, he all of the shit that he says is amazing. We're not really fans of Thomas Wake as a character, but I am absolutely a fan of his linguistics, like, every fucking thing that comes out of his mouth is, like, top notch, like salty dog sailor language, and it's just, like, so fucking great to me.
Possibly the funniest part of the whole movie for me was immediately after the monologue when Ephraim's like, "Alright, I like your cooking."
Yeah, because the whole monologue, he's like, "Oh, Poseidon is gonna stab you with his coral points, and the dead sailor souls will pick out your innards, and blah, 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 if you don't, like, say," and
Yeah, it's so intense.
oh my gosh. Well done.
And then right after that, not right after, like, the next day, Ephraim does take a knife to his neck when he's sleeping.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ephraim
That was crazy.
Ephraim's losing it. Like, Ephraim is, like, definitely, like, having a lot of murderous thoughts about Wake.
And then immediately after that, he fantasizes about fucking the
This
mermaid.
was the
So
part.
there a lot happens.
This is the part. Yeah, the mermaid fucking. My boyfriend was just like, "Was that fish vagina?"
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, "Fish wouldn't even have a vagina. Fish would have a cloaca." And I was like, "Do fish have
It's
cloaca?"
fantasy.
And I'm like, "But I don't know. I don't think fish even have cloaca." And I'm gonna have to do some research into fish anatomy that I didn't know that I ever was gonna have to do. But yeah, the fish vagina, guys.
Well, the fins were just in, like, the shape to, like, symbolize a vagina.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's just a fantasy. I don't think you need to, like, think that hard about the actual anatomy.
Okay, that's fine. I was just like, kidding me? I didn't get like a clear description of the sex scene. It was just like the audio description was like Ephraim fantasizes about I don't know if it said like making love or having sex with the mermaid like on the beach.
Yeah, he was just on top of it thrusting.
Okay, so yeah, it wasn't super descriptive.
Yeah, they were just on the beach and he was on top, and I don't know if this is the same scene, but then is this where he's jerking off, or is that later?
I thought it was earlier than him actually fucking the mermaid, was him, like, jerking off, but I do, like, have to talk about the jerking off.
There was a part where he was, like, humping the bed or something, and then later he fucks the mermaid, and then I think it cuts to him, like, jerking off, and he has the doll, and he, like, smashes it.
Okay, yeah, well, I think you're right because yeah, this is the part where I do remember the doll smashing, the Little Mermaid doll, but the fapping noises in this movie, I just, like I really had to comment because it was, like the audio description was just, like I don't know what it said exactly. It was just like Ephraim is like touching himself in the shack or something. And then I just expected it to like cut away, but it was like a good solid like 20 to 30 seconds of like hardcore like the only way that I can describe it is fapping noises.
And there was an ass on screen, which shocked me. I was stunned.
Was it Robert Pattinson's ass?
Yeah.
Well, at least it was a good ass. I was like, it wasn't William Dafoe's ass, was it?
He gets naked later. They both get naked.
Oh God. Okay, yeah. This movie, it's like a high tier, this movie.
I think I'm so entranced by this movie because, like, every step of the way, I'm like, I'm
It's just
shocked.
like some wilder and wilder shit happens. Like, I can't wait till we get to the part I think that's coming up with the mixture he makes.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, we're getting there. Speaking of the singing and dancing and the weird sexual stuff, though, one time when they're almost dancing, they, like, almost kiss and then start beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes just bro things.
Just that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's like, that feels very standard for 2 men alone on an island.
Winslow finally confesses to Wake about his backstory,
Oh, yeah,
too.
he's blind freaking drunk. Oh, by the way, like, we're not really mentioning it because Giu did earlier, talking about digging up the giant case of liquor, but every single night they're just blind drunk, both of them. They're just like the whole thing where they're dancing and almost kiss and that whole thing. It's all them drinking.
Oh, yeah, every night. Every night they're getting hammered.
I think every day they're just getting hammered all the time.
Yeah, they're just drunk. Just assume they're drunk for the rest of the movie. So, Winslow's confession is that he watched his previous foreman die in an accident, and it's not really clear if he killed him or just stood by and watched and let him die. I think that's kind of what he says is that he just stood by, but then you're kind of like, did you kill that guy? I don't
Because
know.
there's like a flashback later where it shows him walking up behind the foreman guy. Like it kind of seems like the movie's implying that he actually did kill him. And then he
Yeah.
says like, and after it happened, the first thing that I thought was I could really use a smoke. And that comes back too to kind of indicate that like he did kill him.
Yeah, and the guilt has haunted him ever since, and that's must be why he's confessing this now. But his real name is Thomas Howard, and then that's where we get the connection to the story, or one of the connections, not the only connection, but they're both named Thomas, just like in the original legend, there was multiple lighthouse keepers named Thomas.
Then I think pretty immediately, Wake starts calling him Tommy.
Later, Ephraim sees himself lying on top of the lighthouse, and this is when we see Wake naked because he sees himself lying there and he's looking at himself, and then he turns around and sees Wake looking at him, kind of striding towards him, and he's naked and like there's beams of light shooting out of his eyes at Ephraim. It's crazy.
Whoa.
I don't know what was that scene supposed to mean. Do you have insight?
I don't
Because I don't know.
actually have insight. I know that there's like the part this is right before the part where Ephraim sees or Thomas 2, Ephraim Winslow, will continue to call him, sees Wake chopping up the boat with an axe. What I heard online is that he sees Wake chopping up the boat with the axe and then chasing him with the axe, but then like in a minute they're going to be back in the like little den area and Wake is going to tell him that he chopped up the boat. Like Winslow chopped up the boat and chased Wake with an axe. So it's like really we're just like what the heck is even happening? And it's like also do you know what's up, Wake? Are you trying? It's like we're really unsure at this point if he's like kind of trying to make Winslow crazy, but like also Winslow's really losing it.
He seemed way too calm in that scene when he was like, "Oh, you just chased me with an axe." He
Yeah.
just seemed really chill about it to me, and that seemed a little strange.
Yeah, that kind of is and then there's the part and I think this is coming up too because this is when he's, like, really, like, losing it, and I was kind of having trouble keeping everything that was happening straight because he's just kind of, like, running around doing stuff, and Wake was like, Maybe I'm a figment of your imagination. Maybe this whole island is a figment of your imagination.'"
Yeah, things are really going off the rails at this point. We have no clue what's real and what's not at this
Like,
point.
what the heck is happening? Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is where it starts to be up to our interpretation of what we think is going on, and I'm just here for the ride, honestly. I just wanna experience whatever this
Like,
is.
whatever's happening, I'm here for it. But, I don't know what it is precisely.
We mentioned earlier that they're getting drunk every night, so as they do, they're drinking one night, and all of a sudden, all of this water smashes into the room, completely floods their house.
The little lighthouse keeper's den where they've been, like, doing all of this dancing and almost kissing.
Yeah, it's completely filled with water, and when Winslow's walking around, he's, like, wading through the water, so it's not like it comes in and drains out, like, their house is now flooded,
Yeah.
and he finds the logbook floating in the water, and he begins to read it and sees that Wake has been harshly criticizing him and recommending that he be dismissed without pay, and this enrages him,
Obviously.
and they start to fight each other very violently.
Yeah, and it's like the things that he was writing in the logbook too, like, he was And it's kind of interesting because this is another thing where we're like, where is the crazy happening? Because from what we've been seeing in the movie, we've been seeing things kind of through Winslow's point of view, and that has been him, like, working very hard and doing all of the stuff that Wake tells him to do and all of that stuff. But then he writes in the book, like, oh, he's a slacker, he's like whatever, blah blah blah, and he's given to self abuse, which is like basically old timey code for like he's a chronic masturbator. And like we've been seeing that is real. Like he's been like jerking it a lot to that freaking Little Mermaid statue. It's been kind of strange. And so like that bit is true. So like we've been seeing Winslow do all the chores. So it's like, is it just the fact that Wake is like a hard ass and he's like a shitty boss and like all of that stuff? And I think that is true. That's an interpretation, but also like Winslow is just a deeply unreliable narrator. We don't really know what the heck has been going on.
Yeah, once you find out that he maybe possibly killed his former boss, I feel at that point you just know you can't trust him anymore.
Yeah, no, nothing that you've like kind of been seeing through his eyes is trustable. Like nothing. Are all of the things that Wake wrote in the logbook true? Like, is he like actually like a shirker and a slacker and like all of this stuff? Because we've been getting like little hints of like him kind of feeling that way, but that's really reasonable when you have a lot of work to do to like kind of like be like, ugh, fed up with it. But it's like, is our entire understanding of like him doing all of those things, is that like just seeing it through his eyes as a wrong interpretation? Because he is chronically masturbating, so like
I have a theory. What if Wake knows that Winslow is going insane and he does want him to be dismissed because he knows that this is not the job for him because he's going insane, but maybe he doesn't want to say he's going crazy because he doesn't want to ruin his whole life by destroying all of his future job prospects, by ruining his reputation. Maybe he's trying to be nice by saying he's lazy.
that's a possibility, but I feel like if he was trying to be nice by saying he's lazy, he'd be like, "Well, I think that you shouldn't hire him on for another season, but pay him for the season that he was here." But he literally wrote
It's
in the
true.
logbook, like, I submit that Winslow should be let go without his pay."
That's true. That's a good point. I don't know.
And did he do that?
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that Winslow beat the shit out of Wake, and this was the
Yeah.
honestly, the most sexual thing that happened to me in the whole movie because my mind has been corrupted by the internet. When he forces Wake to crawl outside like a dog and he's leading him, that made me so
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
because he, like, beats him up. He beats him to a fucking pulp. Winslow's obviously very young. He's, like, the age of Robert Pattinson, like, early 30s, something like that. And Wake is, like, an old, infirm man, like, probably in his 60s or something. And so, like, Winslow just starts wailing on him crazy, and he's, like, screaming, like, "You're a dog. You're a dog." The whole thing, because I think that Wake had been kind of referring to him as a dog, like, trying to get him to do work, like, throughout the beginning of the movie, so now he's, like, turning it on him. So then after he fucking beats him to basically till he's, like, fucking quaking on the floor, shivering, almost unconscious, he takes him outside on a fucking rope like a dog, and he's, like, walking on all fours. He's just, like, and Winslow is acting like it's very normal and is just like, "Good boy, like, hop up," like
Made me so
yeah,
uncomfortable.
same. That was the part where my boyfriend was like, "What the fuck are we watching? Like, what the hell is this
I think
movie?"
my boyfriend said something similar. He's like, "What are you making me watch?" I'm like, "Just enjoy the movie. Just accept that you're gonna feel uncomfortable, embrace it. It's okay."
That's basically what I said. I'm like, "It's supposed to be making you feel uncomfortable."
Yeah, it's making you feel what they intended, just let it flow through you. You have to be very zen about it. So, Wake gets not thrown, but led to this hole.
It was the hole that they dug the liquor out of.
Yeah, yeah, that was it. He puts him in the hole and starts burying him with dirt.
The last thing that Wake says before Winslow shovels the last shovelful of dirt onto his person is you'll be punished.
Winslow gets the keys to the lantern room and
He
goes
immediately I
inside.
thought that was really weird because he, like, immediately, like, finishes burying him.
Not even really, he, like, throws a little bit of dirt on him, like, he could easily just stand up.
Yeah,
Like, he's not buried, you know?
yeah, and, like, he immediately jumps down in there and, like, digs for his lantern keys, and, like, Wake just kinda, like, lays there and lets him do it. Maybe he's, like, out from having or just a little bit discombobulated from having all that dirt shoveled onto him, but, yeah, and then Winslow, like, runs off to the light. He, like, runs there.
Well, he goes inside, and then Wake runs inside with the axe and tries to kill him.
Oh, yeah, that did happen first.
Yeah, and then Winslow takes the axe and just, like, whacks him in the head one good time
Yeah,
and actually kills him.
Wake is dead. Well, Wake might have already been dead, but Wake is dead now.
Yeah, we don't know. And then he goes up to the lantern.
Yeah, this part was odd. I was like, "Okay, alright." Yeah, so he, like, lets himself in to the lantern room and walks over to the light, and he just, like basically, there was, like, a door in the light, right?
Yeah, because you have to be able to get in there, but he goes in and there's just this intense moment of what looks like pain and
Also pleasure.
pleasure on his face. It's a very weird scene. Like, is he orgasming? What's happening? Is he
There
suffering?
was that really weird moment, like, much earlier in the movie, like, it kind of nearer the beginning where, Winslow, like, walked up on the door while Wake was in there, and there were, like, some very, like, "Oh, he's fucking in there." Like, Wake was making some noises where I was like, "He's fucking in there."
We did not mention that he farts throughout the movie.
We didn't I meant to say something about the fart. I think it's, like, just a show of dominance of him just, like, farting and just being like, "Get back to work, boy."
I don't know what the point of the farting was. I was just thinking, is this a movie made by men for men? We have to get some farts in
I mean, maybe that's honestly part of it, but I
here.
kind of, like, felt like it was like a show of dominance. Like, you can't
That
say
makes
shit
sense.
about my farts. Like, you just have to sit there and smell them.
Ew,
Yeah,
so disgusting.
yeah, dominance.
Oh my god.
Men are
Well,
weird.
we're right at the end. We're right at the end.
He just goes into the light and he's like, pain, pleasure, orgasm face. Like, and we don't even really get to know what is in the light. There's weird shit happening. It's continuing to be weird.
It really is, and then the film cuts to Winslow.
Well, it doesn't even cut. It doesn't even cut to it. It literally, he like fucking chucks himself out the door and falls all the way down the stairs.
Oh, he does fall down the
Like,
stairs.
yeah, he falls all the way fucking down the stairs. Just, and I was
I
like,
forgot about that.
I will never forget about that. Like, and I was like, "You're making noises, like, a lot longer than I would think you would, like, be making noises for the."
He fell all the way down.
Yeah, and he was, like, making noises almost to the end. And then he's just, and then he's, like, at the bottom, and he's dead, probably, I hope, and he's on the rocks.
He was moving a little bit. He was moving around.
That's one of the things I
I
saw
think he was dying. He was
on YouTube said that, but I was like, "Oh, no, that's not real, is it?" Like, I was like,
no, he was, like, awake, he was moving, and the seagulls are picking at his insides.
"Oh, that's like okay, so that's literally Prometheus." That's oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's one of the big, like, kind of, other things that this movie is, like, almost based on is, like, the legend of Prometheus, which is if anybody's not familiar, it's like a Greek myth. Prometheus is an immortal being that got in trouble with Zeus for giving fire to mankind, and that's also been interpreted as, like, wisdom, culture, like, knowledge, fire, depending on how literally you're taking your legends. And his punishment for giving fire to mankind was to basically be chained to a mountaintop and have an eagle eat his kidney for all of eternity, like just eat his insides forever, and he would never die. He would just like
Ew.
be alive and feel that forever because he was an immortal.
I hate that.
Yeah, I hate that too. And that's literally what happens at the end of this movie.
That is what that's it's the movie, Fade to Black.
And yeah, that's fucking it. But wow, okay, yeah, so even he was alive, so it's even more like Promethean. Wow. I don't even really
What
know
did
what
you think of the movie?
I really don't even know what to say. Like, it was a good movie, and it was
It was a
weird.
good movie, and I was along for the ride. I personally don't need to know what's real and what's not because I'm here for the experience.
Same. No, me too. I don't really feel like it's necessary to, like, unpick. I think it is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be confusing. There's supposed to be a lot of stuff going on, and we didn't even mention the tentacles. Or I think you did
Mentioned them a
just,
couple of
like,
times.
vaguely in passing, but I was like, "Oh, there's even tentacles in this movie." Like, it
There's even
even
tentacles and
and
goo.
even has that. Like, there's just so many this just has so many entry points. It hits so many things.
I didn't expect this movie to be sexual.
No, me neither. It's oddly sexual.
Context, I did not look up a single thing about this movie. All I knew about this movie was that it was called The Lighthouse and that it featured Robert Pattinson. That is it. That was all of my context. Oh, and the genre. I read that it was a horror movie. Other than that, nothing. I did not look up a single thing because I like to go in blind. I want no expectations and I just want to experience whatever I'm about to experience. And I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, that was a wild movie.
Yeah, it really, really, really was. And I didn't really know anything about it either, other than just generally being familiar with the Flannan Lighthouse disaster. But like, it really wasn't much like that at all. I was kind of like, are we just gonna have a retelling of the legend? Because it's kind of creepy. And there's definitely things that they took from it, but it is not the same, even a little. And this is I honestly, like, I'm glad it's not the same. I'm glad this is not that far in reality. But I really, really liked it. It unsettled me. I thought the acting was amazing. My boyfriend was kind of like, I thought Robert Pattinson's accent was, like, all over the place, like, I didn't think it was very good, but I actually thought he did an amazing job with that because at the beginning of the movie, when he's, like, really trying to be Ephraim Winslow, like, before he kind of, like, starts losing his grip on reality and before we really realize, like, that he isn't who he says he is and his actual name is Thomas Howard. It's, like, at that point where his voice starts to change, and it's almost like he becomes it kinda becomes more of like a Boston accent almost, not exactly, but like that kinda area.
I think there's no way there were accent changes like that throughout the movie, as insane as this, that were not intentional. There's no way he was just not acting right and they didn't do a different take and they were like, "Eh, good enough, put it in the movie." There's no way. I think there's a 0% chance that happened.
Absolutely correct about that. That is a really good point, but yeah, I really liked it because I thought that it was, like, unsettling too. Because even that, because you kind of go into the movie through Ephraim's eyes almost, and it takes you a while to, like, really realize how unreliable of a narrator that he is, so you sympathize a lot more with him, like, naturally, and then you just start being like, "You are not the same person that, like, I came into this movie with." Like, it's just jarring. I thought it was really well done, well acted. Robert Pattinson, our dear Edward, did such a fantastic job.
I agree. My boyfriend also did not like the movie. I'm gonna get back to his harsh criticism. He said it was like when you go to a museum and you see one of those paintings that's all one color and it's up to the viewer to interpret the meaning. He said it was lazy and that they left all of the work up to the viewer and that because of that, it was not a well done movie. And I was like, I
I,
disagree.
like, don't agree with that take literally at all, but like I was saying, there's so many ways to interpret this movie. Like, it has endless interpretations, I feel like. So, I feel like that's maybe a valid one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm if you don't like it, if you think it's pretentious, that's up to you. I think my taste is better than yours because I
Same.
also like Phenomena, and that movie, I'm coming back. I didn't forget about Phenomena. That movie is like this movie where I recommend it to people, and they're like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but wasn't it awesome? Didn't you enjoy the ride?" And that's how I felt watching this movie, and that movie is by a really good director, Dario Argento. And I feel like people who like movies like that movie, but the average film viewer is like, "What the fuck is this?" And I think that this is in that
You're
category.
exactly correct, and it's, like, 100% spot on about Dario Argento. It's like people who like movies like his movies. I think you have sophisticated taste.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I'm the odd one out because I don't really watch movies. But then when I do watch movies, these are the movies I
Yeah,
watch.
you have sophisticated taste, and that's a good thing.
Wow, thank you. I feel validated right now.
At least in horror movies, very, like, particularly too, you have great seems like okay, so I can't get you to watch a lot of them, but when I do, you always like them, and, like, you like these weird ones that not every horror movie viewer would like, so, like, I think that you just have sophisticated taste.
Wow, I feel so validated right now. I think I just need to listen to you more because when I watch horror movies that other people recommend me, I'm like, "This is stupid." Like, I don't like these stupid jump scares. Like, I'm not scared of a jump scare. It gives me nothing.
Yeah,
It's cheap. I don't care.
gives me nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So when I watch a movie with you, it's different. It hits different. So I think I just need to listen to your
I like
suggestions.
more, like, weird psychological stuff because yeah, like you, jump scares do nothing for me. Maybe it's because I'm not, like, experiencing them in the same way, but they just do nothing for me.
But I am experiencing them in the same way everyone else is, and they still do nothing for me. So maybe they just suck. Maybe our opinions are better
Are
than other people's.
sophisticated. Haha, that's what we will tell
Yeah,
ourselves at least.
maybe we have correct opinions about
I
movies.
think that you're right, but I can't end talking about this movie without at least mentioning this because we didn't get around to it. He mixes honey and turpentine and drinks it.
Oh my god, wait,
We we
how
didn't
did we,
talk about the turpentine.
skip over
I
that?
don't know.
Oh my god, I was even thinking about it, like, right before we started recording. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that part was really crazy," and we skipped over it.
I know. I'm offended at us as well. Like, we need to get better at this. Shame. But I think that, that part I
That was
just
wild.
was fucking wild. I was like, yeah, no, and it really, like, goes to show when we were saying, like, he's really losing his grip is when he starts drinking the freaking turpentine and honey mixture. And I even mentioned that he made a mixture, and we didn't bring it up.
Oh my god. Well, we're talking about it now. So sorry. But they ran out of alcohol at one point, and they were desperate because that's all they have is getting drunk. They have nothing else right
They're
now.
alcoholics. Yeah, alcoholism.
Yeah, so that's all they have to do. So yeah, they end up mixing the turpentine and honey, and shit really starts going insane.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of it Wake drinks, but fucking Winslow is knocking that shit back.
They were desperate.
I was like, "That is some wild shit." That was the moment, honestly. That moment of the turpentine and honey mixture, that actually sold it for me. Like, that was the moment where I was like, "I fucking love this movie."
What do you think? Should we do the rating?
Yeah, I think let's do the rating. We've waffled on long enough.
Enjoyability scale first, 1 to 5.
Enjoyability, Imma give this a 5.
I'm giving it a 5, I liked it. It's going in the Phenomena Suspiria category, and you know what? Right before this, I was about to watch a Clock Tower Let's Play, which is based on the movie Phenomena. About to be spooky season, I'm thinking about it. I'm giving it a 5.
Okay, alright, that sold me. I'm watching that. I can't believe I haven't watched that. I love Clock Tower.
Oh my god, yes. Second scale we do is on a Twilight scale on how similar or adjacent to Twilight this is, and I'd have to give it a 0. 0 out of 5. This did not remind me of Twilight in the slightest. I was like, "Oh, when Robert Pattinson got hired to play Batman, this is what they looked at." They were not looking at what he did in, like, 2006. They were looking at the fact that he's actually a phenomenal actor.
Yeah,
This was nothing like Twilight.
no, yeah, the only thing is the fog. The only thing is the fog.
The fog? Is there a lot of fog in Twilight?
I don't know, I envision Forks as such a misty place, but maybe that's more similar to the book. I don't know.
No, there's fog, you're right. Like when, Victoria and James and all them come out of the mist.
Yeah, exactly, that's me, I'm like, "The mist."
Yeah, you're right.
That's like negligible points.
Negligible points. 1% of the atmosphere was similar.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so what do you think that is? Like, would like a point 0.1 on a 10-point scale? Like, not even a 1 point, like a point 0.1.
Yeah, if it's out of 5, I guess 5, 10 doesn't matter. Point 0.1. I'll give it a point 0.1.
Oh, yeah.
We can agree on a point 0.1.
Well, I honestly am gonna have to, like, second you completely. I love that both of us loved this movie so much and both of our boyfriends hated it. Like, I think that's really, really funny. But, yeah, I'm also gonna have to give this a 5 on the enjoyability scale.
I liked it.
I'm literally considering watching it again tomorrow, so I might do that.
Honestly, same, because especially after talking about it with you, I'm like, I need to now watch this with all of this context.
Yeah. So 5 points, 5 points, 5 out of 5 for me on an enjoyability scale, and our twilightiness scale is like I think I'm gonna have to agree with Giu with the point 0.1 because it's literally just the fog. Like, that's it.
Yep, I agree.
I think the fog was, like, our, like, little comparison for comparing Spencer to Twilight too, so that's really funny.
No, I said that they were rich and they lived in a fancy
Oh, that's
house.
true. I said the fog also.
Spencer had a couple more points than this did, I
I
think.
think Spencer had, like, a full half point, yeah.
This one, not so much.
No, but really good movie, absolutely. Great and good for spooky season.
Good for spooky season. If you need audio descriptions, I believe I got them on Amazon. So, shout out to Amazon.
That's the best place. Honestly, they're doing a lot better with their audio descriptions.
Thank God, because we need more movies.
I know, we really do. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode.
Thank you. This was so much fun to record. We can't wait for the next one. Happy spooky season. Whenever you're watching this, it's always spooky season in our hearts.
Especially my heart. We shall see you again soon. Please like and comment. Give us a rating if you're listening on Spotify. And we love you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, suggest us a movie. Maybe that'll be what we review next time. Thanks for listening.